This is your WCIA 3 forecast first.
Well, we've got a little bit of rain out there tonight. Some showers still showing up here across parts of central Illinois. We're expecting things to kind of ramp up a little bit during the overnight hours, so don't be surprised if maybe hear a rumble of thunder, see a flash of lightning outside the window here as you fall asleep here tonight to some of that rain. Temperatures very mild, still 75 in Champaign right now. We're going to be back up into the 80s tomorrow. But we've got more storms in the forecast, and we've got to talk about a small time period where you may have to worry about some severe weather. We'll tell you exactly when to expect that when we come back. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
It was a chance for many to pay their respects today as hundreds mourned a fallen officer. Plus, he's accused of puncturing the tires on more than 100 cars, but it might be a while before he goes to trial, if at all. And there was plenty of pomp and circumstance tonight, why it was a chance for some to get a taste of normalcy.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
To a hero, to a man who made the ultimate sacrifice.
It's a tough goodbye for Champaign's police chief and many others across central Illinois. Good evening, I'm Jessica Coons. Officer Chris Oberheim's visitation was today. He'll be laid to rest tomorrow. Oberheim was shot and killed while responding to a domestic disturbance on Wednesday. His partner, Officer Jeffrey Creel, was also shot. Police say Darian Lafayette was the shooter. He also died. WCIA 3's Bryce Beeman joins us. Bryce, hundreds of people paid their respects today.
People were in and out of Marantha Assembly of God Church all day, and they came from all over to support the Oberheim family.
It's a tragic loss to us and to our department.
Champaign police are saying goodbye to a coworker and a friend.
On behalf of his family, on behalf of our family as well. So we're all a little bit shooken as we're going through it. Members of Champaign's police department were some of the hundreds who attended Officer Chris Oberheim's visitation in Decatur. They were joined by other law enforcement like Macon County Sheriff.
This is some things that we do in order to make sure our communities are safe, and and some of us pay the ultimate sacrifice, and unfortunately it was Chris. This is going to be rough for all of us. But that being said, we still don our uniform, we still put on the badge in order to go make sure our communities are safe.
First responders from not only central Illinois, but all over the country came to pay their respects, including people from Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas.
We're with the Brotherhood of the Fallen, we go across the country in order to support the officers who have fallen in line of duty, and we want to pay our respects.
The church's parking lot was filled the entire day with people coming to show their support. Several groups walked in solidarity to honor Officer Oberheim. From Champaign Police to the Monticello High School softball team to the club softball team Oberheim helped coach. Dale Shelton worked with him on that team.
He was very well thought of, just absolutely loved by the girls and myself. I loved him like a brother.
And that's what makes this goodbye so difficult.
He's just a one-of-a-kind person, and I'm going to miss him so much.
The Brotherhood of the Fallen also presented a check to the Oberheim family. Jessica?
All right, Bryce, thank you. The funeral will be tomorrow at the Maranatha Assembly of God in Decatur. Starts at 11 a.m. The funeral service is closed to the public. It's only open to family, friends, invited guests, and first responders. A GoFundMe page for the family has raised more than $130,000. More than 1,000 have donated. That page has been up for less than 4 days. We asked police how Officer Oberheim's partner, Officer Creel, is doing. They tell us he's still recovering. He was shot 3 times while responding to that domestic dispute. Other news, Danville police are investigating 2 shootings. Just before 2 a.m., a 22-year-old man came to the public safety building. He told police he and his car were hit by gunfire. Police say his wound appeared to be caused by shrapnel. Just after that, they were called to Fowler Avenue. They found a 31-year-old man who had been shot in the hand. Both victims are expected to survive. New tonight, 2 men accused of murder are a step closer to being extradited back to Illinois. Clayton Anderson and Thomas Miller agreed to a plea deal for charges they face in Nevada. In Illinois, they're accused in the death of 72-year-old Sherry Hubbard. She was found dead inside of her home in Shelby County last month. Anderson, her grandson, is accused of killing her. Miller is accused of covering up the crime. Here's an update. An Urbana man has been deemed unfit to stand trial, at least for now. 36-year-old Dallas Bone is accused of puncturing holes in the tires of more than 100 cars in March. He's charged with destruction of property. He was placed in the custody of Health and Human Services for treatment, and his case could still go to trial if he is later found fit to stand. This is a follow-up and some good news. The Beardstown fire chief is out of the hospital after this apartment fire. It happened on May 16th. He and 2 other firefighters are now resting at home. One person who lived there also went to the hospital but has been released. A building was destroyed. There's no word yet on what caused the fire. We have new information on a fire indicator. The city says it won't have to pay for the cleanup. Fire happened on May 1st at the former Aramac building near Grand and Calhoun. City leaders were able to get a hold of the property owner, and they will pay through their insurance. A group in Champaign is pushing for the city to make changes to its neighborhood faster. The United Garden Hills Neighborhood Association says that area has needed streetlights for 20 years. We told you the city has an improvement plan, but it won't be done for years. So now the association is passing out information to homeowners and getting their signatures. They're taking those to city leaders because they say they can't keep waiting.
I will have lived in this neighborhood, 30 years without the basic necessities that almost every other neighborhood in the city and county of Champaign have.
The city has launched the SLEEP program to help get light efficiency kits into homes, and Public Works is also looking into ways to speed up the timeline of that project. New at 10, there's a new face of the city of Urbana. Carla Boyd was named the city's Human Rights and Equity Officer. Boyd has served at Danville Area Community College for the last 23 years in a number of positions, including Chief Diversity Officer and Assistant Vice President of Student Services. Illinois is moving to make big changes to how the state awards licenses in the marijuana industry. Critics say the industry is dominated by rich white men. The House voted today to approve the new cannabis measure. It would relax application requirements on veterans and boost the odds for people who had a criminal conviction from pot or people who live in an area disproportionately affected in the war on drugs. Now for the latest on COVID-19 in Illinois, the number of new cases continues to drop lower. More than 800 were announced today. Another 17 people have died. Positivity rate is remaining steady at 2.7%. More than 49,000 people were vaccinated yesterday. The average is more than 79,000 doses a day. More than 5.1 million people statewide are fully vaccinated, which is about 40% of the population. U of I is getting a grant to fight cancer or COVID-19. It's to honor Greg Gulick. He was the interim chief information officer at the university. He died from COVID in February, and he beat cancer a few years back. This grant will be shared with a research team. There are 4 $25,000 allocations, but staff and students can request more than one.
It means a recognition of the contributions that Greg made here while serving in this role and the impact that he had in helping to protect students, faculty, and staff during the pandemic. But the other is the opportunity to leverage these resources to support research around both COVID and cancer.
The last day to submit an application is this Friday. This lumber may not look like much, but because of the pandemic, it costs quite a bit. We've told you about these high prices before, but some say it's not changing. The vice president at Airport Lumber and P&W Builders in Peoria says at times prices are 3 times higher than a year ago. Right now, his stock is low, but enough to cover his projects. But he says he is getting daily price increases from suppliers. One restaurant that closed during the pandemic is set to reopen. Rosati's Pizza in Urbana will be under new ownership. The restaurant shut down in October after 14 years. Near campus on Gregory Street, there will be a ribbon cutting Thursday. The official opening will be in June. Memorial Day weekend is fast approaching. What you need to know to stay safe on the water. Plus, we're hearing from the Illini assistant basketball coach for the first time today, what he had to say about joining the orange and blue. Kevin, you've got a big update for us.
Yeah, it's big.
Really,
it's a big,
really tall update.
It's a big thing. Yeah, it's a big thing. So the NOAA weather radio, it's been down for like 15 months now. We finally got the approval. We got through the red tape. We got the antenna. And we've got the crew. Here, you'll enjoy this video. Look at these guys.
That freaks me out.
Watching these guys. These guys are on top of our tower installing the antenna that will get the NOAA weather radio back up and running for Champaign County. We're going to see if Jess can go up and help them tighten a few of the bolts.
No, thank you.
To make things all good. But there they are, and there it is, getting hoisted up there. Soon it will be back on. Not on the air yet. but we're making progress. We'll talk about how, well, if it was working, it may be going off because we've got storms in the forecast. I'll show you that coming up.